Welcome everyone to this new episode of the Privacy Rules Privacy Espresso series, a series where we delve into the latest news on privacy, data protection and technologies from all over the world. And we do that with our experts localized in various countries, more than 55 in this moment, that provides us with their insights and thoughts on what's happening and on those news. Today with me, I have Trevor Fenton from the law firm Shakespeare Martineau from the UK. Trevor is indeed an expert on privacy and data protection, and I am very pleased to have him with us because we want to speak about the recent statement made by the ICO, that is the UK Data Protection Authority, in relation to the LinkedIn AI, so artificial intelligence data policy, which was quite interesting. So first of all, I would like to thanks Trevor for being with us today and ask you directly, can you give us an overview on what we are talking about?
Yeah, briefly, I think Microsoft decided some time ago to start using user-generated input that we put into LinkedIn to train its AI models. You could argue they very quietly decided to do this because most of us probably learned about it through articles we saw in social media and traditional media sources saying, "Hey, LinkedIn is now using your posts and possibly your personal, your private messages." I'm not sure about that, but anyway, they're using user inputted data to train their AI models, and you had the opportunity to opt out. The interesting thing I found, though, was that from the outset, they did not turn this feature on in some countries. In most of the world, they had turned this feature on, and you could opt out, but they didn't turn it on for countries in the EEA and for Switzerland. That means the UK, it was turned on just like it was for the rest of the world in the United States and elsewhere.
That's very interesting and very peculiar. So let's delve a bit more into it. But before that, can you provide us a bit more insights into which was the position of the authority of the ICO there?
Well, to be honest, I don't know what the original position was. I don't know if they were even aware of it when Microsoft launched this feature. And the ICO's position on AI features generally is that they usually involve some high-risk processing, and so they will require a DPIA to be conducted pretty much all the time. So the question then becomes: did Microsoft do the DPIA before turning this feature on? Did they conclude that they should alert any authorities that they were going to go ahead and do this high-risk processing despite what they found in their DPIA? So what we're not really sure of is, how did the ICO get onto this issue? Was it because Microsoft contacted them after doing a DPIA, or was it because of the small amount of public furore, shall we say, that came about when people discovered that this feature had been turned on, and that they could that it was an opt-out rather than an opt-in to having your data used this way.
Okay, perfect. That makes sense, and thanks a lot. And under your, as a professional that works in this environment, which is which are your thoughts on these and insights?
I think it's really curious that LinkedIn from the outset did not turn this feature on in the EEA and Switzerland, which I'll loosely call the EU GDPR area. Obviously, Switzerland's got its own data protection law. The GDPR doesn't have direct effect there, but effectively, that's I would call it GDPR adjacent, I suppose. And the UK, of course, has its own version of the GDPR, which, but I don't know what exact percentage, but it's practically the same as the original EU GDPR for most purposes in private industry. So the question then arises for me, and I think it's an interesting decision that Microsoft made to turn this feature on in the UK when it wasn't doing so in the EEA. Does it indicate perhaps a different level of respect, or perhaps just a different view that large companies like Microsoft take of data protection regulation in the UK after Brexit than in the EEA? Clearly, they don't seem to think the ICO is as much of a concern for them as the data protection authorities in EEA countries in Switzerland.
Thanks a lot, Trevor. Probably, is it possible that in some way they saw in the ICO an authority with a bit more flexible type of approach than other DPAs in the EU, or maybe the fact that the DPAs in the EU are somehow or somewhat trying to work in a way that is as aligned as possible. They see more a risk because a negative decision from one of the DPA in the EU may affect the entire European Union. So maybe they are having a different approach because of this. But I'm also pretty sure that the ICO is still an authority that has some voice also with European institutions. So indeed, it's very interesting to see the difference in the approach. But I would like to thank you very much for being with us and for sharing with us those thoughts and insights. Is there any closing remark that you would like to make in this regard to companies working in the sector or anyone interested on the topic?
Sure. I mean, having said that about Microsoft's approach to the ICO, it should be said that once the ICO got involved, they have taken a stance. We're not entirely sure what that stance is. It's a stance at least that says, "Hey, Microsoft, you've got to you need to pause here in the UK. You can't approach this issue in the UK entirely differently than you can in the EEA." And the result of the ICO's intervention appears to be that Microsoft has now turned that feature off in the UK as well. So it is treating the UK LinkedIn users the same as it is users in the EEA in Switzerland, while in the rest of the world, that feature remains active. So I think it's, we'll probably hear more about this down the road, and perhaps that experience might cause Microsoft and others to think twice maybe about approaching the UK as if it's somehow a radically different situation from what we have in the rest of Europe.
Yeah, probably this has been used as a test to see which would have been the reaction by the UK
Perhaps.
authority. maybe that's true, but hopefully these won't happen again, or hopefully their approach might change, in particular because, as you were saying, the frameworks we are talking about are very similar. So there is very little space for different approaches. There might be some, but not that many. So that was very, very interesting. So Trevor, thanks a lot for sharing these with us and your experience. I very much look forward to meet you again very soon, as well as our audience. So I would like to say hi to everyone and thank you all for being with us today. Bye everyone, and bye Trevor again.
Thanks, bye-bye.